Hola my friends, this is Sal Montes and welcome back to my channel. Just hopping on here real quick to say that what you're about to see was originally just a segment of an entire video that I planned to make analyzing the vibes of all the different NHL teams heading into the Olympic break. But when I got around to editing, I realized that each division is about 15 minutes long, and that would come out to about an hour video. And I realized that I really don't have the equipment to handle making an hour-long video. And also, I thought it could get a little bit boring pretty fast. So instead, I'm going to be releasing each division individually as its own video. Hopefully, y'all still like it. Make sure to watch all 4 videos when they come out. It would really mean a lot to me. It ended up being a lot more effort than I realized going into it. But I had a lot of fun recording this, venting a little bit as well. So yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for this video. And yeah, thanks for watching. Chicago was a team that I think at one point, right around the new year, it felt like they were starting to really get to that point where, like, okay, we're still young, we're still, developing, but we are ready to make pushes to see if we can be like a fringe playoff team, wild card team. And since then, they've just kind of fallen right back to earth and back to the state of the Blackhawks for the last couple of years, really. In fairness to them, I mean, they haven't had the best injury luck the last couple of weeks. I think this last game, right before the break, they lost 2 guys. Yeah, so they ended up getting shut out by Columbus 4-0 and lost guys like Kaiser and Doc. I also know that Bedard had his big injury that kept him out for a while. I believe Nazar was the other, really good young player they've got over there who also, I think he broke his jaw, if I remember correctly, who also missed a lot of time. Don't believe they have much representation in the upcoming Olympic break. I think Teravainen might be one of the only ones, and like another like rookie or prospect or a coach or something like that they might be having go for one of the other teams. But yeah, it seems like for the Blackhawks this upcoming break, for both the team and the fans, it's just about relaxing, kind of getting some rest and coming back, or for some of the young guys who I think got sent down to the AHL, continue developing, just continue working and grinding hard so that they can come back after the break and continue the development. At this point, it doesn't seem like they're going to be fighting for really a playoff spot. So just make it worthwhile for the fans. At the very least, that's all that really matters. Colorado's an interesting team because, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I do think Tampa is probably playing the best hockey right now in the NHL. But it's undeniable that the Avalanche have kind of dominated the majority of the season. I remember starting to do my first couple scripts for the first couple of videos, coming back to doing YouTube a little bit more regularly, and seeing that the Avalanche had 2 regulation losses after the new year. Neither of them were back-to-back, so they hadn't lost 2 games in a row. I don't think, or maybe I didn't look at the overtime losses, but they were just trucking through everyone, like absolutely unstoppable team. McKinnon, leading in like goals, and I don't know if points possibly, but Makar for sure in that top defenseman conversation, dominating that. The goaltending, probably the most solid tandem in the entire league. Everything really going well for Colorado. But then these past few weeks, they've definitely looked a lot more human. You got some really funky losses, 7-3 losses to, I believe, Nashville, to Philadelphia. Teams you're not really expecting the Avalanche to really struggle against. Just they end up getting kind of caved in. And I did just recently read something that absolutely blew my mind, but apparently the Avalanche are like they're like one of the worst power play teams in the entire league. Yeah, no, the Colorado Avalanche have the worst power play percentage in the entire league. I guess lucky for them that they can just find other ways to score in the breakout. They're a lot more speedy than most other teams, so they don't have to rely so much on the power play. But yeah, you see some of these stats, and it's kind of wild to think about. And on top of that, you also have lots of hope that Gabe Landeskog, Martin Necas, Some of these guys who have been injured and missing some time, they're set to play for the Olympics for, I think, Sweden and Czechia, respectively. On top of, Makar, McKinnon going to Canada. I think Taves was Taves selected. I'm pretty sure he was also selected. Brock Nelson going to the U.S. team. On top of those guys, Natchez and Landeskog especially should be playing at the Olympics, which if they do, that would be awesome. It would be a great sign for Avs fans that they're getting healthier and ready to come back. And yeah, once they're back, maybe the Avalanche go on a tear again and just continue to build up that little buffer between them and these other teams that are right behind them. But right behind them, they are with, first we'll talk about the Dallas Stars. Now, Dallas, funnily enough, since I have this power play page up, is currently, I think, second with the second best power play. They do have, I believe, the most power play goals, though. So they're definitely on a hot streak right now, on a 6-game winning streak, I want to say. Yes, they are on a 6-game winning streak, and a much-needed winning streak, considering right before, Dallas was kind of in the struggle bus for a while. Anyways, it's been a bit tough for Dallas. I think especially since, Jason Robertson got snubbed for Team USA. But on the flip side, it seems like, they've really used that as a bit of fuel to have some incredible performances during this winning streak. About half of them, I believe, have come at the expense of the St. Louis Blues, which is pretty funny because all of them have been wins against the Blues in like the last minute of regulation. A shame for Blues fans for sure, but it got to be pretty exciting for Dallas fans. And as I was saying, with the whole, using the snub as fuel, Jason Robertson has just been incredible. He's been, top 3, I believe, right now in goals in the entire NHL. Been playing like a maniac out there, just, showing the Team USA people that they really made a mistake. I, in good conscience, I cannot understand how Team USA sat down and said, you know what we need for this team to win gold? We need JT Miller. I'm sorry. I don't want to keep, I don't want to punch down on the Rangers, but like, really? You're going JT Miller over a guy like Jason Robertson or, Cole Caulfield with the Montreal Canadiens? We're going to talk about the Wild up next, and, Wild fans, they know Bill Guerin, he's built different. But yeah, good on Dallas. It's really good to see them getting back on track after a pretty rough slump. Although I am sure Stars fans would be even happier if they didn't have to deal with the other really hot team in the Central right now, the Minnesota Wild. These last 3 teams, the Avalanche, the Stars, and the Wild, they've ran the entire Central the entire season pretty much, with Colorado obviously far and ahead the top team there, but Dallas and Minnesota were kind of in this two-way race to see which one would get home ice advantage when they played the other team. For a while, Dallas really built up a nice little lead, and Minnesota was struggling with a lot of injuries, so they never were in danger of really falling out of that 3rd seed in the Central. But it's been a couple tough watches for Minnesota in the sense that every single game feels like they're going to overtime. Every single game it feels like they're cutting it really close. But for the past couple of weeks, they've been really good. In large part, of course, by getting those injured players back. I mean, Joel Eriksson Ek is back, and he's playing really well. Matt Boldy also missed some time, I'm pretty sure, and he was just named first star of the week, I believe, for the NHL. Just came off a hat trick in a game against Nashville, I want to say. Overall, just really good stuff from the main guys in Minnesota, and that's not even mentioning Kaprizov really hitting his stride as well. Quinn Hughes, the Quinn Hughes trade. If you keep up with the Wild, you'll know that every couple of games or so, he'll be setting a new record. Fewest games to this many points for a new Wild player, or most multi-assist games for a defenseman in Wild history. It's insane what Quinn Hughes has been doing in such a small amount of time in Minnesota. And on top of that, you have really good performances all year long from Gustafsson, from Wallstedt, who has really broken out this season as the backup. And yeah, when you have all these little pieces really working well together for the Wild, you end up with, what they are right now, on a 5-game winning streak. They are 1 point ahead of Dallas with one more game played. So there's still very much a race left over there to see who's going to be the second seed and who's going to be the third. Wait a second. I was going to say they're only about 5 points away from Colorado, but then I realized they played 3 more games than the Avalanche. So the Avalanche, I am pretty confident, are going to be locking in that first seed and shortly after the break. But the Wild are doing great. Moving on to the Nashville Predators. So the Predators, for those who might not know, actually had a pretty eventful week in the sense that their current GM and longtime franchise coach, Barry Trotz, decided to announce that he will be stepping down in the near future as GM. I think I saw somewhere that he's retiring. At least that's the word that I read, and I'm not really sure if that means he's like completely done with hockey. At the very least, no longer going to be the GM for the Preds. Depending on when they find the next replacement, I've heard that if this goes on through the end of the season and to the draft, he'll handle the draft, I think. But anyways, there's changes coming to Nashville, and I think it's pretty warranted. I'll be completely honest. I still remember about 2 summers ago, right before the 24-25 season, making videos and really gassing up the Preds. I was really high on them after they went out and got Stamkos, Marchessault, Shea. Saros was playing really well. O'Reilly was having a really great season, right? So they're making all these moves, and they're looking like they're going to be players in the sort of contending teams category. But they end up having a really mid at the very least mid season, and then this season they did have a bit of a good stretch after some comments that Barry Trotz specifically said. They were playing a lot better, and these last couple of weeks they've had some really fun moments, like Roman Josi with a lot of game winners, really putting the team on his back and playing really well. Obviously, you have that 7-3 win against Colorado, which I believe was the first regulation loss at home that Colorado had this season. So again, really great moments for Nashville, but it's just this entire Trotz era, I mean the GM era, has just been a bit of a letdown, and it does seem like it's better to pull the plug earlier than just continue to let it linger like how it's been. It'll be interesting to see who shows up for Nashville, who ends up taking that position, and seeing if they can still kind of salvage something out of this roster of players they got right now. After that, we have the St. Louis Blues, and St. Louis, they're kind of in I would say in a similar sort of boat as I guess like the Rangers in a way. You just have a lot of things not working for this team, and after last season where they had a really strong second half with, I can't remember how long the winning or point streak was, with the whole Jobu doll thing happened. I know that St. Louis was looking like, okay, we still got some juice in there. We're not really at a spot where we should be completely tearing it down. Binnington had that resurgence after the Four Nations, or actually, I don't quote me on that. I don't remember if he had that resurgence, but he was very good at Four Nations. So obviously, good vibes all around for St. Louis last year, and this year it just hasn't happened. You get hit with a lot of injuries. You lose guys like premier guys like Holloway, Broberg, all that, and then the guys who have been there for a while, like the Kyrous, like the Binningtons, they're just not producing the way that I think fans have wanted for a while. So there's just a lot of frustration there, and I really feel that. So yeah, I've gotten the sense with the Blues that it's the season, it's kind of done at this point. It seems like they will be moving pieces, although I've seen some crazy reports about the Blues asking insane prices for some of the pieces, like Robert Thomas, for example. And hey, I mean, at this point, they have a pretty decent shot at those high picks, those high lottery picks. We'll see how it works out for them. Who knows? I mean, I don't really see Jordan Binnington being the Canadian savior in net at these Olympics like he has been for previous iterations of Team Canada. But, you know, he really gets up for those games. So who knows? Maybe he'll be really pumped coming back, and the goaltending will kind of correct itself a little bit more. But yeah, not seeing a lot of great things for the Blues when in terms of, you know, making the playoffs this season. I think they're going a different route for now. Utah has been a pretty solid team, a bit of a sneaky team that not a lot of people are really talking about. That's for sure. I believe they just came off a 6 or 7 game point streak, something like that. You know, you got guys like Karel Vejmelka being just absolutely outstanding this season. I believe he has the most wins for a single goaltender so far. He's been really great at anchoring that Utah team. It's been a really fun watch for sure. And that's even considering the fact that they've had some guys, I can't remember if it was Cooley or Gunther or maybe both, that Utah has actually not had for a little bit because of injuries. But then you got guys like Kyler Yamamoto coming in and just, you know, looking like absolute stars out there. It's really insane what's going on in Utah. But right now they're pretty poised to make a bit of a run and sneak into the playoffs. So we'll see what ends up happening. Overall, it seems that the Utah vibes are pretty solid. Still plenty of work to do though after the break. And lastly, we have the Winnipeg Jets in the Central. The Winnipeg Jets have been, you know, it's been a pretty tough watch as well for them. They started out the season pretty well, if I can remember correctly. Maybe I need to start building up my Winnipeg Jets coverage a little bit more, because I just haven't seen any big injuries. I'm sorry, Jets fans, if I'm forgetting a lot. You know, covering 32 teams can be a lot. But I don't really know what exactly is happening with the Jets and why they've fallen so far from what they were, you know, even a year ago. They just struggle to win games, and, you know, bit by bit, I've seen them dropping to the very bottom of the Central standings. And well, right now the St. Louis Blues, I think, they're actually beating them. I don't know what else to say, because even in the, you know, talking about the Olympics, you have Team Canada, who, as I mentioned, had a couple of injury replacements they had to make. Jarvis comes in, Bennett comes in, as Point and Cirelli are injured, and a lot of people were talking about, you know, hey, Mark Scheifele is right there, why not call him up? And so, you know, it's kind of interesting that Winnipeg they're just not getting a lot of love this year, from whether it be the Olympics or the NHL coverage overall. I just haven't seen that much for them. And at this point, you know, take the break, like I kind of mentioned with New Jersey and teams like that. Take the break to, you know, rest up. I don't think the Jets are going to be making that big of a push after the Olympics. And yeah, just see where the Jets land for the upcoming lottery. Plenty of chances that maybe McKenna could land there. We'll see. I am hoping for good things for Jets fans. That's for sure. Because they really do deserve it. I hate seeing the Winnipeg Jets, especially with how great of a playoff atmosphere they tend to have. I hate to see them in a position like this. Hey y'all, Future Sal here. As I might have explained at the beginning of the video, this entire 4-division video that I planned to make ended up being a lot longer than I realized. I'm still not done editing every single piece of the video, so that's why I decided, hey, instead of releasing one long, boring, hour-long video, how about I just release them by division? That way I can get some content out to you all a little bit more frequently this coming week. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing, which means I'm going to cut it off for today here, but stay tuned. The next divisions coming up should be popping up in your feed pretty soon. And yeah, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what y'all's opinions were on the video, what opinions you have of your own team, and yeah, let's have a discussion down in the comment section. I always appreciate those. And as always, remember that kindness is free to give, so go out and spread some today.